And now on to another of the promises made by the President at the State of the Nation address. Whistleblowers, people who expose wrongdoing inside, say, government or other big organizations, have long faced danger, intimidation, job losses, and even violence. Now government is moving to introduce financial assistance and other safeguards to protect them and give real support when they take huge personal risks. At the same time, the Justice Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi is pushing to clean up the National Prosecuting Authority, asking the new boss, Advocate Andy Mothibi, to implement lifestyle audits for prosecutors. Some of them are saying no. Why are they resisting if there's nothing to hide? She joins us now, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani, and your listeners. Indeed, it's always appreciated to be there.
We're taking this further because the last time you and I spoke, we were talking about the differences between state witnesses and whistleblowers. What do these new developments mean in terms of financial help and safeguards for those who expose wrongdoing?
Yes, we have concluded the draft bill, Bongani. It has gone through ministerial processes. It's now at the stage where it's going to Cabinet and then Parliament. We're looking at introducing this to Parliament before the end of March. And we have indicated that we would write both to Parliament and to the Leader of Government Business to request that this bill be fast-tracked as it's urgently needed and desperately needed by those who are working within crime fighting and corruption fighting space. The bill, what it proposes is that, because as we said previously, there was no legal framework to be able to provide support. We've witnessed whistleblowers who go, for example, somebody in a department blows a whistle, they charge them, they suspend them, or they dismiss them. When they dismiss them in that period where they're still waiting for their pensions or they're still fighting, they lose their houses, they lose their cars. This is one of mechanisms to be able to protect them. And also we link in the whistleblower process to witness protection. So we don't want to re-establish a new thing which will take long. What we are doing, we're expanding the mandate of the witness protection so that it can now have the responsibility of looking after whistleblowers. Secondly, as well, we are elevating the levels of those who are working within whistleblower and in terms of oversight. But again, we are saying those who are responsible for acting when they are given this information. For example, a person gives a minister an email to say the following corruption happens. What the bill then says is that you have 5 days to act on that. If you don't, you must tell the person that has blown the whistle why you are not acting. If you are referring the matter, you must refer that matter within 5 days. And there will be a judge who plays an oversight role that the complainant can go to say, Minister Kubayi was given a whistleblower information to protect the state. She did not act, and therefore consequences will follow from that point.
Is there a way to apply some of that? I'm picking up now on people who don't act on information they are provided. Is there a way to apply some of that retrospectively? I mean, I'm always reminded of the Babita Deokaran case, right? The officials sat on the information that she flagged, and only after she was killed did they try and scramble to say they had acted on it when in fact they had not.
Yeah, unfortunately, based on the law, you are not able to act retrospectively, Bongani. The act will definitely come effect, and all those consequences will have to be effect within the time that the act becomes a law. So that's the weakness currently, and that's why we're asking for it to be fast-tracked, so that all the legal loopholes or the lacunas that exist are closed. Because somebody can argue currently there isn't anything. If you take them on, you'd have to have hardcore evidence and maybe charge them with defeat in the hands of justice, which is quite difficult to prove sometimes.
We also know, I mean, from the evidence we've heard in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, for example, in Ekurhuleni, when people were protected, what often happens also, Minister, as you'll well be aware, is that people are suspended when issues are flagged around their conduct. And then as processes begin, the 60 days is up, that official is reinstated, they pop up elsewhere, and life carries on. Will these safeguards deal with that kind of scenario?
No, not on those ones becomes labor matters, Bongani. I do think sometimes, not because there are lacunas within that space, because when you have suspended a person within 60 days, and you have already started the charging process, you are able to go to the chairperson of the disciplinary committee, explain the delays, explain the impact of that person returning to work, and therefore extending the disciplinary and suspension period. It's the will that people must have to be able to act. Those who are given the responsibility to be able to ensure that the state is protected and those who blow the whistle are protected. So within labor laws, it currently can be done. Yeah.
No. What I mean is, Minister, so now a whistleblower has reported the information. The officials responsible, or the head of whatever unit or department, the person responsible for beginning some kind of investigative process goes ahead and they do so. The officials or the people that have been fingered are suspended, but then it's delayed and delayed and delayed, and eventually it expires and, well, business as usual. Will we prevent that sort of thing from happening?
The legislation, Bongani, it's meant to protect the whistleblower. So it wouldn't be a legislation that covers everything. And that may be conversation we can have with Minister of Labour to say, how do we close this gap of people who are found to do wrongdoing, not acting and all those things. I think that would be Minister Mmamoloko's purview of work. But ours here is particularly just to safeguard and protect the whistleblower. For example, if a whistleblower during the time where their lives are threatened, we also providing, Bongani, that they can be taken. That's why the financial support comes in. They can be taken to safe houses like we do with witnesses, and we carry on and protecting them in terms of the provision that are there with whistleblowers. Yeah. No, so that's the main focus here. It's the person who blows the whistle.
No, I fully understand that, Minister. My worry is when those processes then expire, then the whistleblower is then exposed, perhaps to recriminations by the very people they tried to flag. But let's move on to something else. One of the heartening developments about having the new National Director of Public Prosecutions, having been previously the head of the Special Investigating Unit, is if there's anybody who understands lifestyle audits, it will be Advocate Andy Mothibi. Already there's some resistance to lifestyle audits by some prosecutors?
Look, definitely. My first address to NPA was that particularly to say, Advocate Mothibi, I've asked for lifestyle audit. This is more than a year. I asked for lifestyle audit last year, February, that NPA start the process. Not a single one has already started, has completed the forms, and I've asked because first they started by asking the legal basis for it. It was to and fro until I had to tell them that this is the instruction of the head of state, because President made this instruction at least around 2019, 2020. And I was shocked to find that nothing has moved. And I was able to explain, if I, as a minister, am requested to do a lifestyle audit, I complete the form, I provide the bank details. I don't have a problem with that. Being able to provide everything that has to do with what I own, what I owe, why, as prosecutors who we expect to have high ethical standards, needs to. And my explanation to them is that my experience having been here for a year, the incidences that I've come across does tell me that there is a need for us to do lifestyle audit. The stories I get from people, I don't believe that people can just be creative to tell those stories. And therefore, the only way for me as a minister to have assurance that our prosecutors are not involved in wrongdoings is for them to subject themselves to lifestyle audit. Then, as a minister, I can stand proudly and say, I have a clean NPA. Currently, I have doubts, because one of the incidences is that every week I literally get people sending me stuff. Somebody sent me stuff about a prosecutor that this person has been receiving cash deposit. I've asked the ethics office to investigate that. Last week I was told, somebody says, no, there's malicious prosecution. Somebody's taking me to court because I've refused to pay bribe. Then I've asked Advocate Mothibi to investigate that particular. Lucky when they give me the stories, they give me with names. So it's easy to do the investigations. But as we say, they take some time, because I can't, as a minister, investigate a prosecutor, especially if it relates to cases in court, because I do not have authority over cases in court. I have authority in terms of administration. So I then refer it to them. So they take long even on those things. So I have raised my frustration with Advocate Mothibi to say, I'm expecting him to turn around the situation quickly and have everybody in NPA going through lifestyle audit.
If they're not crooked, what do they have to hide? As always, appreciate your time, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mmamoloko Kubayi.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.